If we confess our sins, then he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us of all unrighteousness. It's 1 John 1:9. I'm seeing a lot of new believers very, very excited about their faith and eager to share. But a lot of times, instead of planting seeds of love and sharing in truth with grace, it can come across very preachy and kind of just focusing on sin and things that pull us away from Christ. But if people aren't aware of those things, that's not going to help. And we got to remember, it all comes down to the position of the heart. Do you forgive? Are you forgiving your neighbor? Are you forgiving the person who trespasses against you? Yesterday, I talked about Paul and Silas singing hymns in prison, and the shackles came off. They had their chance to escape, but they didn't. Rather, they stayed imprisoned so they could save the life of the Roman guard who had been keeping them in prison, persecuting them. It's that kind of love that's so radical that people saw on the cross that transformed an entire world, that it spread, and we're supposed to spread it to the end of the earth. But that's with grace, not a preachy, judgmental attitude. We are forgiven when we forgive others. It's that simple. We're all going to fall short. To sin is to miss the mark. We're all going to sin. We're all going to do things in error, even with the best of intentions. But if our heart is in a place of forgiveness, which it can only be if it's focused on the cross and on Jesus, then we will be in right standing. Are you forgiving your neighbor? Are you loving your neighbor? I'm going to keep harping on these because these are the things that matter most in these days that we're living in, when every power and authority of this world is trying to turn us against one another. Are you willing to forgive somebody who wronged you because in their mind they thought they were doing right? Because that's the world we're living in, where right is wrong and wrong is right, where light's being substituted for dark and dark for light. We have to realize that the wisdom of the world is going to lead you astray and keep you from loving your neighbor and forgiving your neighbor the way God forgives us. But if you do forgive your neighbor, if you forgive someone who wrongs you, our Father in heaven will forgive you. That is what we are judged on. You got to remember that. 1 John 1:9. Pray this finds you well. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow.